once more, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. As you know, Wayra this year is turning 10 years old, and actually it's today. Today is the day where it was founded in Colombia 10 years ago. So we invited some of our most successful founders in Wayra UK to share their experiences at Wayra, and how being part of the Wayra family has helped you all. Right. So I suggest we kick off with a short introduction. Introduce yourselves, your companies, and why and how you joined Wayra. Should we start with Melinda?
Hi, Bruno. Thanks so much for having us all here today. It's great to see everybody. So my name is Melinda Nicci, and I'm the CEO and founder of Baby to Body. And we bring personalized and accessible health and wellness information and guidance to women going through their reproductive phase, so conception, pregnancy, and postpartum. And we're expanding the business in the next few months, spoiler alert, into kind of women after childbearing years, so the post-reproductive phase of a woman's life, so helping them to age better and stay healthier for longer. And yeah, we've got 1.5 million women on our platform, and we launched the business in 2015, and then we launched our app in 2018. So it's been quite a ride over the last few years.
Thank you, Melinda. Kenny, can you go next? Introduce yourself and tell why and how you joined Wayra back in 2015, I guess.
Sure. Hi, Bruno. Hi, everyone. My name's Kenny. I'm the founder and CEO at Wefarm. Wefarm's building a global platform for small-scale agriculture, which is probably the biggest vertical on earth. About 1 billion people directly involved in the industry, and Wefarm wants to build a platform for all those farmers. We launched our product back in February 2015, just about 4 days before we joined the Wayra program in 2015. We now have just over 2.5 million farmers on our platform, and then around that we've been building a marketplace, particularly over the last 2 years, where those farmers can start to buy agricultural products and anything else they need in their life. We've raised about 33 million in venture capital from some of the best investors in Europe and Silicon Valley, and we'd probably describe ourselves as about a Series A plus stage company now. We have 70 employees in 4 different countries, with an HQ here in London, and several offices in Africa. I guess the reason we joined Wayra in the first place, put it simply, I think, I was a first-time founder, pretty inexperienced within tech and startups, very inexperienced. And wanted to surround myself with a lot of best practice and essentially learn through that first year of our business. And, I think found Wayra an incredible program. If you put the effort into it, I think you get it out of it. And in particular, I think was fantastic at helping us raise our first investment round and put us more on that kind of venture path that would enable us to scale.
Thank you. Alena, can you tell us, introduce yourself and tell, why and how you joined Wayra back in 2017, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So thanks for having me here. It's a real pleasure to be part of Wayra 10 years anniversary. So I'm Alena. I'm a co-founder of Rap Tech Studios. We build apps for people who like hip hop music and people who want to unleash their musical talent. So our flagship app is called Rap Fame. We just recently hit our 10 million downloads worldwide. We were multiple times featured on the Google Play Store and on the Apple Store. I think over 100 times right now. So it's been a really great support from Apple and Google. And obviously we are proud to be part of Wayra family. We joined Wayra back in 2017. Back then we were known as BattleMe. We were focusing on building one of our apps, a dedicated rap battle arena called BattleMe. And over time, with the help of Wyra mentors and with the help of data analytic tools, we actually pivoted. And now our flagship app, as I mentioned, is called Wefarm. And this is an app where, regardless of your background, regardless of your musical skills, whether you are an amateur or an aspiring artist, we help you to improve your skills, to build your fan base, and sometimes even to find love. For example, we have 2 users who met on Wefarm app, and now they started a family and have their first baby. So we have our first Wefarm baby, which is quite exciting, a side effect of being a hip hop fan on Wefarm. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to be part of Wyra family. We met amazing network of investors through Wyra, although we always tried to be lean and didn't really raise much over years. However, we already have quite a nice family of investors and a few venture capital firms that joined over these years. And we are looking at doing our Series A this year, expand further the team. So now we are about 20 people, and we are looking to grow the team and build our presence in the US, where majority of our users are.
Thank you. Yeah, good to hear about your future plans as well. And yeah, last but not least, Josh.
Thanks, Bruno, and thanks for having us today. So yeah, I'm Josh Graham, co-founder and CMO of Airtime Rewards, and we're trying to fundamentally change the way retailers incentivize customers in the UK and the way consumers receive rewards when shopping with major retailers. Our members, when they join our rewards program, they are issued mobile airtime as a credit for shopping in-store and online with those major retailers in the UK. And we've become, over the last 5 or 6 years, one of the leading operators in the space, really. And a lot of that success, I would say, is down to the relationship through Wyra and O2, where we've been able to rapidly scale our member base in the UK and have seen some huge success off the back of that, selling into retail partners. We're 1.4 million members in the UK. We'll be at 2 million pretty quickly. And the sort of sky's the limit, really, on where we want to take this business. And we've had a sort of really exciting 3 or 4 years, really, working in partnership with Wyra and Telefonica in the UK.
Thank you, Josh. I can tell I'm a very happy user of Airtime Rewards. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about Baby to Body.
Actually, Bruno, I left out when we joined Wyra. So we joined Wyra in 2016, and I remember pitching to the kind of the panel, and I think we had 30,000 subscribers at that point. We just had an email, and very soon we kind of grew. And now to think that we're over 1.5 million on our app is pretty cool. But we had a really great time in those days in the Kappa Streets offices. Kenny, you were there.
Just at the edge, I think, because we left just February, March 2016. So yeah, we overlapped a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've all been residents at Wyra, and I mean, some of you are still residents at Wyra, so have been with us for many years. So, Melinda, since you mentioned this, that was probably my next question about the journey. So from 30,000 to 1.5 million. Can you tell us a bit more about the journey, and especially what can we expect in the future from Baby to Body?
Yeah, thank you, Bruno. So yeah, when we joined Wyra, we didn't even have an app. We had an email subscription service. So we hadn't raised a lot of money at that point. I think we'd raised only about a couple of £100,000. So we were really in stealth mode. And what we were doing at that point is really trying to understand our users and where we could find them and what they needed. and also sourcing the best experts around the world to bring the content that we wanted and the advice and guidance around pregnancy. It's a very complex time for women. There's a lot of hormones, and there's a lot of kind of uncertainty about what they're going through. And, you know, there's a lot of things to consider on their physical level, emotionally, mentally, and also nutritionally, and their needs change as they're going through conception, pregnancy, and postpartum. So we spent a lot of time trying to understand our users. And what was great about being in Wayra was, you know, obviously when you're starting off a business like Kenny, I didn't really know anything about the tech industry. I'm a sports psychologist, so I was coming at it from a domain perspective and not really from a tech perspective. So having sort of the people around us at Wayra, mentors, and especially the team, introducing us to the right people and just having those conversations on a daily basis was really key to kind of understanding, first of all, what we needed to build, because I didn't really know what we needed to build initially. So that was really important. And I think having the other CEOs, for me, that was one of the really key kind of and highlights of Wayra, is really getting to know our group. And we used to, at those days, everybody was resident in the office, and we used to have, you know, Friday drinks with all the CEOs, and we'd have like a bit of a venting session where everybody would sit around the table and talk about their problems. And very often, you know, as you're talking about your problem and you're just getting through it and verbalizing it, you know, someone else has either had the same thing or can relate to you, and then, you know, it just kind of makes it much more manageable. And I think for me, that was definitely one of the highlights. And also it enabled me to grow as a CEO and as a leader, and just being challenged in the right way, because I knew that the Wayra team just wanted us to succeed. And we used to have these sessions of pitching every Friday for like 2 hours, and we'd have to turn up. Like literally, David Fogel would come to my desk and bang on the desk in front of me and make me go to the amphitheater to pitch if I didn't turn up. And it was really good because we all learned about each other's businesses. And I mean, I started out being quite confident, but not really understanding how to pitch in a 1 minute, a 3 minute, a 5 minute, a 10 minute. And, you know, through that rigorous practicing, I was able to, you know, now I can just like jump up like a jack in the box and just give any pitch you want at any length of time, because it was just drilled into us. So that was, for me, that was like really, it was also fun. You know, we actually had a lot of fun, and let's face it, it's not an easy ride. So when you are having those down days and you're having those, you know, those days that are quite challenging, having that group of CEOs around that you can just kind of, you know, get support from, and then also having the Wayra team who, you know, are always there. I used to just go out to their desk and start asking questions, or, you know, they could point us in the right direction, get someone for us to talk to who would give us the right advice, and we knew that it was coming from the right place. And I think that really helped me to kind of shape the decisions I made. And, you know, we were going to build an app too early, and then, you know, we pushed it out. But then we did end up building an app. And, you know, we went quite quickly into monetization, which was, again, we were being pushed by Wayra, and it was really the best decision we did. So, you know, we're cash positive as a business. In fact, I'm trying not to make a profit at the moment. So it's interesting times because COVID's been good for us, fitness at home. So, yeah, it's just enabled us to grow. And also for my team, we were a really young team. And just having that environment where there's just so many people coming and going, and there's just so much, you know, so many people to talk to and to get advice from, and just to sometimes just even to commiserate. And, you know, have a coffee with sometimes is just great for all of us, actually. And yeah, there's some great stuff coming. We've actually just written, I've just written a book. So I've got the cover sneak peek.
Oh, amazing.
It's called Nourish. And it's all of our best recipes and all of our nutritional advice. And then the new product is coming out in Q2, which is called Embody, and that's for, as I mentioned earlier, slightly older women and going through the perimenopause and menopause and helping them to age better. And like the key part of what we've learned over the last 5 years is propelling us into that product. And so far, it's looking amazing. So very, very exciting stuff coming up for us.
Good. Yeah, exciting journey. I mean, interesting you mentioned the office. I mean, I miss the office a lot. Although I was there for a very, very short period of time. I had 6 weeks in the office before we went in lockdown. I mean, we reopened. So we opened last Tuesday, and yeah, I hope very soon to be able to have like more people and create that same environment again. Kenny, do you want to talk to us about, I mean, the journey since you joined, and also the benefits of being part of Wayra? How did it help Wefarm?
I know, no, definitely. So, I mean, the journey for us, I think, has been, an incredible parallel because, as I said, we launched our product literally a few days before joining Wayra. In fact, I missed Wayra Welcome Week because I was in Kenya launching our product. So, we'd only done beta testing before that. Our first users joined literally in the first few days of the Wayra program. So we went, from that 0 to now, 2.5 million members on our platform, journey, over the last 6 years since we joined Wayra. And I think, I remember coming back in week 2 of Wayra and saying, hey, we got 500 people using our platform in the first week. And actually, like, everyone was really excited about that, and that kind of peer-to-peer support and encouragement, and all the Wayra team, were so encouraging of that. And I think it was actually like really cool to be part of that environment where, as Melinda says, I totally agree, that kind of peer environment was really special. And I'm still in contact with a lot of the people we went through Wayra with. I definitely agree that pitching was, it maybe gets a reputation as a bit of a superficial skill, but I think it's also vital for a lot of startups, particularly, like us. We're doing something fairly complicated that's fairly hard to describe easily. And I think, I remember very well those days of David Fogel banging on our desk and saying, 2 minutes, pitch, just as Melinda says. And actually, it was really useful. I had spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley and, going in road shows and pitching. And I think, there's no doubt for me that we wouldn't have been as successful as we have been in raising the money that we badly needed to scale the platform, without that. It's also like helped us in other ways. We were part of a competition in 2016, just after leaving Wayra, which we started while we were there, where I had to pitch live on TV in the US with Trevor Noah and Eva Longoria, and ended up winning £200,000 or $200,000 there. But again, like, I think just in comparison to everybody else that was there pitching that day, we'd just done that so many times on those Fridays at Wayra that it was fairly natural for me. I knew exactly what I was saying. I was, nervous, but really comfortable in that environment. 2017, I got a few minutes with Bill Gates in person to kind of talk through what we're doing and try to, get him interested in things. And, again, just having that comfort and being able to say what you do in a couple of minutes is a really valuable skill. So yeah, totally value that. I think the other thing was probably thinking about the modeling and how we actually think about the scale of our business. If I'm honest, about that time, we had what I think was a really great idea and something that had massive potential, but hadn't really thought about what happens when we get 1 million people using this, or how do we make money out of it. There's some vague concepts around that. But I remember the Wayra team really supporting a lot, and the coaches and digging into the metrics and teaching us about things like cost of acquisition and lifetime value. And I had no experience in this industry, and those weren't concepts I was familiar with before Wayra, and it really helped. I spent a lot of time working with David Fogel on that as well, and I guess as a good ending to this story, I then ended up hiring David Fogel as my CEO a few years ago, our program director, back then when Melinda and I were part of the program. So there you go. That's how impressed I was with all of that he's now a key part of helping to build Wefarm. And in terms, I guess just finally for us on what comes next, I mean, I hope for us it's really massive international scale. We're on a path now, I think, to our 10 million and then 100 million members on our platform. And, really what happens when we do that, I think, is that we form a kind of middle layer of the entire global supply chain. And we do that on behalf of our member and our farmer. I guess you could think about Wefarm as building a massive scale meta cooperative. And I think when we do that, we can, we talk about an idea of shared economic value a lot as our mission at Wefarm. and how we build $1 trillion company that also builds $1 trillion of value for our members, and helping them to buy better and sell more easily in the market. And that's really what we're all aiming for, I think, in the company.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a amazing and a very, very inspiring journey. Actually, thank you for sharing. Josh, can you also tell us more about your journey since you joined, and the benefits, and how Wayra, being part of Wayra, has helped you?
Yeah, so we're very network operator focused. We obviously integrate into the major networks in the UK to make our service actually possible. So we very much wanted to work closely with O2 and Telefonica globally. That was the main pull for joining Wayra back in 2017. We had some initial conversations with O2 in the UK before joining, but nothing to really, not a huge amount of traction at all. And the opportunity to go into Wayra and to get closer to the Telefonica business was massive for us and critical to our potential, really. We were recommended to join the application process, and then got in to Wayra, which was brilliant, and that just really accelerated all of our conversations we were trying to have with O2 in the UK. We got a few different opportunities, and we were able to really overachieve on everything that we were given. And then over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, we unlocked more and more. I think I looked at our demo day pitch a few days ago, and we had about 10,000 members on there, is what we had at the time. 1.4 million now in the UK. 900,000 of those are probably O2 customers. So a lot of that growth has come from our relationship with O2, and being able to nurture, what we wanted out of the relationship, but also have a two-way view on, okay, this is what we want to scale, but also what can we bring back to Telefonica and O2 to make sure it's a mutually beneficial relationship for both. And I think we've been very successful in that. We're still in London. We're still in the Air Street office. That's our London hub. Yeah. We're the Manchester-based business, but we're very much still wanting to be part of the community and to be in the ecosystem in London. It's not quite what it was, but I'm sure it'll get back to what it used to be. And touching on what Melinda and Kenny mentioned, we got a huge amount out of those early days. Speaking to the likes of Wi-Fi and Quick Genius and the other guys that were in our cohort at the time, just bouncing ideas off them, and Alena as well. We sort of all got on really well, and being able to exchange those stories and help each other was just massive, really. I wouldn't have changed anything, to be honest. It's been brilliant for us.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Josh. Yeah, I think it's one of our best cases of joint collaboration and mutual benefits for Airtime Rewards and O2. So it's one of the I think the cases we're mostly proud about, and it's very much the direction we are going as well now, in doing much more support for joint business development between our companies, the companies that join us, and Telefonica globally, and O2 in particular. Alena, can you tell more about the journey since you joined, the plans for the future, and how Wayra helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll probably start even with how we joined Wayra. So originally, I'm from Belarus, as well as my co-founders. And we met with Gary Stewart, who was at that time director of Wayra, at a conference back in Minsk, a startup conference. And I decided to pitch him Battle.me at that time. And he was super intrigued to hear a girl from Belarus pitching like an app for air battles. And he said, why don't you apply for Wayra? And we became really excited because obviously the key market for us is English-speaking market, because hip-hop origins obviously are in the US, and the UK is a really good bridge between Europe and the US. So yeah, we decided to apply, went through the selection process. It was not easy, so many interviews, and we got accepted, which was exciting. I think back then we already had quite serious traction. So we were not an MVP, we were a running platform. I think we had a couple of 100,000 users back then,
Okay.
Which was, I think, 2016. And then over time, as I mentioned previously, we joined Wyra. Within the first year, I think we hit our first million of downloads. And we did this amazing partnership tournament with O2. We did a Manchester versus London rap battle in Westfield, London. It was really exciting. All was happening in O2 Store of the Future in Westfield. So it was really good for our kind of case study. So it later helped us to pitch to other partners and to arrange more tournaments for our users. Because Battle Me and Rapfame, essentially it's an app where you can record tracks as well as challenge other users, participate in tournaments, grow your fan base. So it's always good to have nice brands who support the best talent on the app. And yeah, so O2 provided these really nice prizes for the best users back then. And I would agree with the rest of the guys regarding the public speaking skills. I think it's extremely important. This fear of the stage and the whole practicing around pitching, it was very helpful, and lots of opportunities around presenting Battle Me and Rapfame later to a wider audience. It was exciting. And the bond that we managed to create with other founders is also amazing. I warmly remember this trip to Madrid and Barcelona at the boot camp in Spain. Josh, I think you were one of the key party people there. Yeah, it was exciting because it was 1 week of all founders went to this. I think maybe Melinda even went with us too. I might be wrong that year. Anyway, it was exciting because we were all in this informal environment and had really sincere and open conversations with other founders, and it helped to build friendships. And for me, being a foreign founder, it was really good to kind of build those relationships. And now some of Wyra members even joined as advisors or investors at RepTech Studios. So that's been really exciting. And since 2017, as I mentioned, we hit 10 million downloads, and we are on the right path to become the main platform, the main hub for hip hop fans worldwide. Our key markets are obviously English-speaking market, as I mentioned. However, the second biggest market for us as of now is Germany. So we are having conversations with O2 Germany regarding expanding there. And Latin America is huge. And so we see big potential in working further with Wyra on the international expansion.
Yeah, interesting. A very good overlap with our footprint. So you actually touch on what would be my next question. I mean, when we talk to founders, they always remember very fondly of some war stories, right? Support they got from other founders, from mentors, from Wyra members, other members of the community. You shared the trip to Madrid. I'll ask the others. What are the highlights? What are your war stories? Do you want to start, Melinda?
Yeah, so I think our trip to Barcelona and Madrid as well was great. I mean, there was such a bonding time, and I think, just being out of the office and just being the CEOs together was really special, and it created an unbelievable kind of friendship between all of us and the Wyra team as well. And we had some pretty hilarious moments in that trip. Someone being arrested and, you know, a bunch of other things that I probably really shouldn't talk about. It wasn't me. I probably shouldn't talk
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And then I think, you know, we used to have this thing, David Fogel and Offrey and myself, we would get chicken wings every Wednesday. So we'd have Wednesday wings and whiskey. And we would literally sit at the office until, like, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning, just talking about all the stuff we were going through and our biggest challenges and just everything and nothing. And then, you know, other people started joining us, and it became a little bit of a thing. So that was definitely a highlight. And then I think we were sending out emails only. And this was at the beginning of 2017, and we didn't have an app yet. And one day I noticed that our open rates went from like 60% to like 15% almost overnight. And at the time we were fundraising, so it was not a good time to lose kind of our great metrics, right? So we needed those metrics, and we were in due diligence with a couple of investors. So of course I didn't know what was going on. And we started trying to uncover, you know, to see what was happening with our emails. And we actually soon realized it took us about 3 or 4 days. And I was obviously completely stressed out about this because I had investor meetings and I was still pitching. And I'm saying, yeah, our open rates are 60%. And I'm thinking, well, are they? And what's going on? And it was so stressful. And then we figured out that Google had, for some reason, marked us as spam. So all our Gmail accounts that we had, and at that time we had 500,000 subscribers. So about 400,000 were going into spam. And the rest were like Yahoo or Hotmail or other accounts, and those were okay. So we had to literally stop sending out all of our emails and start looking at our subject lines, the ratio of images to text, and like we had to literally start again from scratch. So we had 500,000 emails going out. We have a different sort of set of content for every single day of pregnancy and for 3 years afterwards. You know how much content there is and how many emails there are. There are 283 days just in pregnancy alone. So we had to look at all of those emails, redo them, look at if there was anything like the word sex. I mean, when you talk about sex of your baby, have you thought about the sex of your baby? That's completely legitimate to talk about in pregnancy, but for some reason Google was like spam. So it was quite a lesson. And for me, at that time while I was fundraising, I was going to the Wayra team almost in tears every day, just needing some help and support. And it was definitely there for me. So that was quite a war story. Anyway, I then decided I would never just rely on one medium to get to our customers. And then we built our app like pretty soon afterwards. And then, everything changed for the better. So yeah, that was pretty scary. And then I had to kind of smooth out this whole due diligence process where everything dropped. Then there was nothing sent out for, about 3-4 weeks. And then we started lifting it up again. So yeah, that was bad. But we managed to get through it. And now we have an app. So, we're in control. Yeah. I mean, we do still send out emails, but it's around, other stuff, much more topical and that kind of thing. So, yeah, and we're in 125 countries, and only in English at the moment. So, we kind of have to keep up with all the different countries and what's going on. And we're partnering with Telefonica, actually. As of January, we did. Yeah, we signed. So it's very exciting. Fantastic. So we're in. We're on the kind of available on the Living Apps program on all the set-top boxes globally. So yeah, that's really exciting. Yeah. So we just launched in January, and we're on our pilot at the moment. So very exciting. Yeah,
that's a very, very big initiative. In a global initiative of Telefonica, and then I mean we will have soon set-top boxes in the UK as well. right? Is with the upcoming joint venture. So don't know yet the plans, but we'll definitely expand our presence here. Josh, what are your war stories?
I think probably it was back in 2018. Last time we raised investment actually. So it was just over £1 million round at the time, which was big for us back then. We were a tiny business really, and it was a lot of money for us to raise. As part of the round, obviously, you promise a lot as a founder, don't you? And you've got to sort of prove that you can scale this, and there's lots of opportunities on the horizon, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and all the things that we sort of go through. And one of those was the MyO2 relationship, and what you realise, working with Telefonica is how much of a beast they are, and how slow they can typically move, and understanding that is crucial. And we just kept getting pushed back. Our launch on MyO2 was getting pushed back because one thing after the other, it wasn't the right time, or tech wasn't there, and at this period we were raising investment. So obviously investors that were coming into the round are like, what's going on with MyO2? You said you were launching, it's now a month back, now it's weeks back after that. And obviously it's not ideal. You're trying to close an investment round, and something you were hoping to have done and sewn up is taking longer than expected. But anyway, I met the CEO of O2, Mark Evans, in the lift at Air Street, and I just explained the situation and said, we're trying to do this. He knew the business really well. We're launching on MyO2, but it's taking a little bit longer. And he said, leave it with me. I'll have a conversation with a couple of people in the office, and we'll try and get it speeded, pushed through for you. But then within days, we were on there and we were live, and it was just like, wow, we really needed that. And the investment round closed within a couple of weeks after that. And it was just, you need the rub of the green when you're trying to raise early stages, and everything you say has to land. Especially with a B2C business, which is, it's hard to scale. We really needed that. And I think it just helped us get over that little hurdle that you need sometimes to get that bit of traction to bring things to a close. So yeah, I'd probably say that was one of the main highlights really.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. We internally use the metaphor that we help the gazelles dance with the elephant.
Yeah.
And we try to orchestrate both. And of course, the elephant moves slowly, but you have to make sure that nobody gets hurt in the process. And that's what our role is here to help you all. Kenny, do you have some war stories to share with us as well?
Yeah, I can share a couple of things. I think firstly on, maybe where that kind of support came, I kind of agree with Melinda that I think for us, it wasn't one particular thing. It was more the aggregate of the peer support and the program support. I think being a founder is tough sometimes. I'm sure everyone's experienced that around the table. It can be lonely, especially in those early days. We're all doing very different things, but the challenges we face are often very similar, whether it's, firing your first person, hire, or, strategy and fundraising, all those challenges are very similar. And I think just having that peer group support around, I remember many evenings spent just talking through things with the other founders or the Wayra team, and just being really helpful, especially for me in my first startup and, being very, very inexperienced. I genuinely think there's something quite special about going through that kind of those early days in the trenches with a group of other startups, all going through the same challenges, and genuinely still to this day look back on that as really important in our journey and game changing for us. I think the only story I'd tell about Wayra is maybe a bit on the other side, on maybe hopefully something that's a bit funnier, a bit more lighthearted. But we towards the end of our Wayra program, we won some award for something. I can't even remember what it was now. And David Fogel, who was running the program, sent a message to the Wayra WhatsApp group that you're saying, tried to say, well done, Kenny, and actually said, food John Kenny, which Anyways, these things have a habit of doing. It became a kind of thing, and everyone started going around the program repeating "Food John Kenny" to everyone all the time. It just became this kind of... And then that grew arms and legs even further to becoming a massive bet whether I could fit Food John Kenny into our final demo day pitch at the end of the program. And basically everybody in the entire program essentially made me do this, made a big bet, including the Wayra team, that I couldn't get it into the demo day pitch. So yeah, up on the stage for the final demo day, and I think Saul Campbell was the guest that year, and all of like the top investors in London were sitting around there, and I almost got cold feet, but actually managed to get Food John Kenny to the pitch, and nobody noticed at all, apart from all the Wayra cohort. And if you watch the video of the pitch today, you can still see like half the people suddenly losing it, which was almost made me lose it, but managed just to keep my calm and carry on, and that was a really good way to end the Wayra program for us, I think.
Nice, interesting. I mean, I definitely have to send David a message today. He was mentioned so many times in the video today. So yeah, finally, one thing I would ask all of you, whoever wants to start on that. I mean, what advice would you give to founders that are considering to joining Wayra, and how can they get the most out of it?
I can go if you'd like.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Cool. So I'd say absolutely do it. Be very clear what you want out of the process. Something that works really well for us. We obviously, as a founder, you want everything. You want help with investment, marketing, sales, products, building your business plan, all of it. But we really focused on 7 key things. We called it our 7-point plan, and it was 7 objectives we really wanted to try and achieve out of the Wayra process, and tried to sort of condense everything down into real focus for what we wanted to achieve. And it worked really well for a couple of reasons, really. We weren't just scattergun approach trying to do everything. It gave us direction. It allowed us to build the business case and the why around each of the 7 points to be able to justify each of the asks. And it just gave us, that focus. Every conversation we had with any mentor or any investor or any, whoever it was at Telefonica, we could direct them back to our plan and our focus sheet. And it just really helped us, get the most out of the experience. We didn't achieve them all, obviously. Some we only got halfway towards, but it was still, a benefit. Others we've achieved in the Wayra process, but also others, after as alumni. So I would say that would be my sort of recommendation.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Josh. Yeah, Melinda.
Yeah, so I get asked this a lot because I'm in the office, so people come over and ask me quite a lot. But I think for me, one of the key things is really like kind of what Kenny said as well, and what Josh said, is really deciding what you want from and what the most important priorities are for you going into the program. So everybody's different. Everybody comes in at different stages. Every entrepreneur has, strengths and weaknesses. And I think, that whole process of learning about your strengths and weaknesses for me was really key, and understanding where I needed to ask for help and where I needed to seek more support, and then other places that, I felt quite comfortable and confident. So I think it's really being open and honest with yourself. I think one of the most important things is not to come in with an ego, and just, think more collaboratively about the whole process. I think on the downside, I think there's a lot that goes on, especially, in the old days in the office, there wasn't one night that there wasn't like some event or something, and you can get dragged into a lot of things that aren't necessarily helpful or necessarily relevant for you. So I think it's just being sort of smart about how you use your time, and again, back to your priorities, like as Josh said as well, like understanding what you really want to get out of the program. And then there's also serendipitous moments that happen all the time. Like I can't tell you the people that I've met just, standing in the elevator and waiting for an elevator, or at one of the events, or just happen to be in the office and someone comes up to you and says, do you want to pitch to this person? I think that's how I first pitched to the Telefonica team, was literally someone came over to my desk and said, oh, they're here, do you want to just pitch to them? And I was like in the middle of something, dropped everything, went over 3 steps and then pitched to them, and they were like, okay, we want to work with you. So I think it's being open to those kinds of things that happen all the time, but then also just being mindful of, you know, not being pulled into too many things that are not relevant for you, because it can be, you know, you have very little time. So it's just being mindful of that. But I think going in it with an open mind. There's some incredible people floating around that you just wouldn't expect to be meeting. The other entrepreneurs have always got something to share. And I think for me, it was just one of the highlights of the last five years of running the business. And I don't think I'd be in the position I am right now were it not for Wayra. And I've been on like 4 other accelerator programs. So I don't say that lightly. You know me, Bruno.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just feel like, yeah, everything about it, the vibe, the way that Wayra is seen in the ecosystem as well. And, you know, initially when we were looking for investment, you know, the fact that we'd been through Wayra was a really good thing for us, credibility tick. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And not only that, but it also opened some doors. And then just, you know, you always like the serendipity again of meeting investors. So not only people for BD and sort of people to hire as well, but just, you know, being in the office with investors and investors coming in and out is also great. And I think each person in the Wayra team has got something different to share, right? And if you take the time to get to know all of those different people, like we had David Fogel, Gary Stewart, you know, Gary was always the one who'd be, I mean, David was pretty straight talking as well, but Gary would be the one who would literally poke me with, you know, the right things at the right times, which would, at the time I would think, oh, that's a bit harsh, but actually he was right. So, you know, it's just taking those things with an open mind and knowing that everybody's there to help you and to get, you know, we all rise on the same tide. So it's a really supportive and valuable experience and a great environment. So be open, honest, prioritize, and go in with an open mind.
Yeah, thank you, Melinda. I agree with you that it's. I mean, there is a lot going on in Wyron. It's something we actually want to have a lot of people, different backgrounds, investors, mentors, our team, all the founders. But you have to pay attention not to get distracted, right? You have to select what makes sense for you at any particular moment. Kenny and Alena, who wants to go next in terms of advice for founders?
I can quickly jump in just to share a really funny story that happened to me when we were fundraising. We were doing our first institutional round, and it was not easy for us because obviously hip hop and rap, it's like not all people understand that this is actually mainstream genre. For some people, it seems like it's a underground genre for those who are from the 90s, etc. So for us, it was challenging to do our first institutional round. And at some point, I was always like really in a bad mood, and I was just having a coffee in Wayra kitchen. Remember this big kitchen? And I saw Randall Pinto from Red Sift from the next year cohort. And I shared that, this is this and that. Maybe you know someone from the music industry. And those guys are completely in different space in cybersecurity. And what he did, he actually introduced me to one of the founders of Shazam, who later introduced us to Plus 8 Equity, who became our investors. And I'm so happy that they joined. They completely changed the story of RepTech Studios. So it's just another example of how just having a coffee in Wayra kitchen could be such a life-changing moment for you. So I would say my advice would be for founders to definitely join Wayra, leverage the power of the community, And maybe most importantly, at least for me, was to be able to step out of your comfort zone. So if you are afraid of public speaking, just go for it. If you don't like working with like this and that, just go for it. Just do what you are not maybe naturally good at, but you should overcome it. And Wayra is there to support you and to provide you with the right mentors and expertise.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Alena.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Kenny. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely agree with Josh and Melinda on the focus piece. I think, I mean, to be honest, it'd be the single biggest piece of advice I'd give any new founder on anything is that kind of idea of being clinical. It's a hard lesson I've had to learn and still keep learning.
Yeah.
But, do 20% of the things that you think you need to do. And I think it goes for Wayra as anything. There's a ton of stuff going on, and picking out the actual bits you want to put a lot into and get a lot out of, I think is really important, as it is in all areas of the business. And I think I just kind of follow that through with, it sounds really cliched, but you do get out of programs like Wayra what you put into them, and I think it's important for founders want to be part of that environment, then I thoroughly recommend it. But come in, knowing that you want to commit to it. I think a lot of the ones I've seen maybe not be successful, or think about it a bit more like high school, maybe, where it's everybody gets an equal opportunity and everybody and reality is that it's not high school. It's an environment that's gonna it's not gonna magically make your startup better in some magical way. I guess it's going to help you to think through some challenges and help you put the right people around you, and fundraising opportunities that can help to accelerate or make better things that you're already doing. So I think if you think about it with that mentality, you're likely to get a lot more out of the program than just coming in and saying, all right, here's my startup, make it better for me. Which I think some people, even if it's subconsciously, kind of think of as any accelerator program. So that would be my advice: is go for it, but then commit to it and really put a lot into it.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have. I mean, we announced that we changed, but now we are implementing more of those changes, and they all lead in this way of prioritizing. So one thing that we had last year, we don't have anymore since this year, is the London program as it was before. So we don't have an annual program. We bring companies at any point, and we kind of create for them a bespoke program of what they really need at that particular moment. We are doing that because we are working now with more mature startups than some years ago, and you probably can relate that it's much easier to develop this joint business opportunities with Telefonica at a more mature stage. So we moved in that direction, and then we are creating this bespoke programs. So thank you very much for joining us. It was like a nice conversation. I'm really looking forward to meeting you all in the office very, very soon. I mean, if everything goes according to plan, by end of June, we should have all the restrictions lifted. So hopefully life will be maybe not the same, but very similar. And we'll retain the good parts of the learnings of this year and improve on the others. So thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. It was good
Thanks,
to see
everyone.
you.